What is up YouTube, it's Kingfisher745, and with this video, we're going to begin covering some characters with their new specific E-ISO and A-ISO that can currently be farmed in Season 2 chapters. Well, don't get me wrong, we are going to cover some stuff from Spec Op, or maybe some special drops like that, at least from time to time. But we're kicking it off with Morbius. His new Empowered ISO is the proved Iso-8, and you can get it right now in Chapter 10, Mission 4. We're going to try some different agent equipment with this team, but the true focus is going to be on that new E-ISO. Specifically, whether these characters' new ISO improve them in-game, or if they're really not even worth farming. I recommend getting them all, but I think you get the idea. So with Morbius, you're going to gain improved formula, chance for a positive chemical reaction at the beginning of each turn. And first, just let me say this happens way more than at the beginning only, which is a very good thing as you're going to see. Now, one question you usually wonder is, how do these team-ups, or whatever we're trying out, perform against a team like Agent and all? Well, you don't have to wait, we're going to take them on first. Morbius by himself is a very solid character. Unfortunately, purged from Anger does knock him down just a bit. I like him a lot more when he has those class benefits. But still, with the covert E-ISO and his new improved formula, he's going to be quite the counterattacker. The other cool thing is he counters with his level 1 Fly-by-Night. A huge hitting attack. I mean, it really is pretty impressive. I've probably seen it do 30 to 40k in the current season, but I can't quite recall exactly, so hopefully we get a big hit in this video. Now, since this first match is actually going to take a while, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys the story. Some of you may have heard this, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I think a lot of you haven't heard it yet. Now, believe it or not, Morbius is one of my favorite characters in the game, and I think it's because, well, first of all, he actually is pretty good. But like I was saying, I just enjoy him as a character. I think you all know I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and so I remember having comics with this character, and seeing him on the cartoon. But to go even further into my real-life connection with him, at my very first Comic-Con ever, there was a CG Seed issue, something that I knew very little about. But what I knew is that it was a grading company, and it basically guaranteed the grade that was on the comic. Well, there it was in this awesome case. Amazing Spider-Man issue 101. I knew that that was the first Morbius, and it even says it on the label, so there was no mistaking it. It was graded an 8.5. So in my opinion, that's a really nice rating. Don't get me wrong, I know there's people out there probably with 9.4s and who knows what the highest grading is in the registry. But for me, this was an extremely nice book. By the way, you may have just seen Morbius had Fortified, and he uses improved formula before using Fly-by-Night. You'll see that quite often. Also, when you use his level 9, even as a free action, you'll trigger it many times. But to finish my story, there was this Amazing Spider-Man 101 in an 8.5 CGC grade. And if I were to own it, it would be my oldest Amazing Spider-Man book that I had. So I only had about a certain amount of money on me for the entire Comic-Con, and that was around $100 left. I maybe bought a few books, but you know, they were maybe just a few dollars, so this would basically be the only other thing I could get. So I actually did end up getting it, and I've never regretted it. It's still one of my favorite comics in my entire collection. It's a really amazing cover, so if you haven't seen it, make sure you go ahead and check it out. Just type Amazing Spider-Man 101 in whatever browser you use. Morbius is backhanding Spider-Man, who has 6 arms at the time. I'll probably show you my comic at some point, and maybe my favorite ones in the collection. But as for the current fight, we unleash another Fly-by-Night, and it's going to be enough to take down the Breaker of Souls. Now, as far as that improved formula, sometimes it goes off all the time. We're talking multiple times per turn. And it gives a bunch of different buffs. One of my favorites is Strengthened, and it seems to give that quite often. So just imagine, strengthened for that fly-by-night. It has deadly crits and exploits delirium. And speaking of crits, attacks that hit are guaranteed to be critical hits against bleeding targets. That's from his passive Scent of Blood. So yeah, you should definitely check him out if you have him. And try to get yourself the proved ISO. If the meta wasn't littered with worthy, he'd be even better. But still, right here, we're going to take down our second worthy of this fight. So Morbius is doing pretty decent. Only one annoying agent left to contend with. And since that's the case, we're going to try to set up that fly-by-night as best as we can. That's pretty much why we have the Mental Manipulator and the Gore Blade. But for now, we just have to concentrate on healing and getting rid of our debuffs. I still believe we're going to get a nice finish. It may take a while, but we will. By the way, as we're setting this up, there is a Comic-Con coming up that I do want to go to. And it's also opening day of trout fishing, the same weekend. So it's kind of a dilemma that I'm in. What I'm going to try to do is go to both. So hopefully that works out. And if I could get one key issue at the Comic-Con, I kind of want to get Psylocke's first appearance. So if I can find one that's affordable, I think I'll go for it. Another book that I do want is Rogue's first appearance. But regardless, even if I don't get a big key issue, I'm going to be looking for comic cover collection books. So that's going to be pretty fun in itself. There's something fun to me about having a list and going through boxes trying to find what you need. I don't know what it is, and maybe I'm weird. But anyways, maybe I can share with you what I pick up there. So I'll definitely do that on the Comics Amino app, and then I'll try to make a video as well. We'll see how my weekend goes, but for now, Morbius unfortunately doesn't have any stamina, so he can't quite attack. However, upon recharge, he does get improved formula. Then with my agent, we're just going to make sure that the enemy agent isn't going to come back from this. So we'll begin by using Smothering Shadow, and then we'll just recharge. Like I said, Morbius is going to finish this match. I'm certain of that. On Damon's turn, we'll go ahead and use his level 1 Soul Breaker and try to remove those buffs. Because of the Mauling ISO, this also applies flanked, so it should set the enemy up for his demise. But before that, he is going to get another turn unfortunately, so this could go very badly. He summons Doctor Strange, then hits Anger, so we'll take it. Following our improved formula that we got just from using quick reflexes, we do now have strengthened, fortified, focused, and more. And before our attack, we're going to take that formula again. So the first hit does nice damage, and the second one really knocks him out. So there you have our first look at Morbius and that new ISO. Now just to add a little bit more variety, we're going to do one more match. And in this one, we're facing a much different team up, Spider-Man Noir and Rocket Raccoon. As our teammate, we're using Kurth, who also has exploits delirium. So she can apply a few of those debuffs, and she'll join Morbius in doing more damage once they're applied. Now as far as my thoughts on the proved ISO, I do actually really like it. The fact that it procs so often is what makes it great. Because I know you could say, well, there's other ways to buff him, and maybe this ISO would serve him better. Possibly. But at the proc rate it has, I think it is worth farming and equipping. If they do something dumb and nerf it, then maybe we'll have to look at something else. But for now, it triggers all the time, gives him awesome buffs, and you can even force it to trigger by using his level 9. Not saying that's 100%, but you do get a few shots at it, and he'll usually get it at least once. Now right away when we use quick reflexes, it triggers. And now, well, we're going to go ahead and use Mesmerize to start out on the enemy agent. We're going for an early setup, and Possessed could help us out. Plus he's ethereal, so this is actually still going to hit him. And we got another improved formula, by the way. I told you it was a pretty sweet ISO, and I was really lucky because it was one of the first ones that I won. That's kind of why we're looking at him first. That and because of the connection. There are a ton more characters to come even from chapters outside of 10, so just keep watching and we'll get around to it. Now there you see an incredible preemptive counter, and that's what I love about facing normal characters. They're going to trigger that preemptive counter and get absolutely smacked. Sorta like how Spidey did on that cover. Then here on Kurth's level 9 she has Mind Control and Disoriented. Both are going to help set up Morbius's Fly-By-Night. On her level 1 we have Exploits Delirium. And you can get that by adding her Dazed ISO. In case you haven't noticed, we're setting up a big attack on the enemy agent. In the meantime, we get another preemptive counter on Spidey Noir, and then he attacks his own teammate. Currently we have Recuperation ×2, Regen, and Fortified, so hopefully we can get strengthened. Let's try to trigger it with our level 9. Okay, we get it right away. And now checking him out, he does at least gain Epiphany, but that's not from his ISO. Well, we gave him Epiphany on his level 9, so that's where he got that. And I guess we'll have to try it again. Then we're going to go for a massive hit on the enemy agent. This will easily take him down. But he dodges, so it was definitely ruined. Well, not everything goes perfectly, as you're going to see in my outtakes video, which I am working on, and Morbius is heavily involved. But as far as our Exploits Delirium from Kurth, it does a huge amount of damage. I mean, that was just sick. So hey, this team up is great, and I can't wait to use Kurth with Cloak and Dagger. But anyways, Rocket looks like he's finally at his tricks. The Rapshank though is going to drop Spidey Noir, so that at least helps that out. Back for more I kind of think is weird. I don't like how it works. The fact that he'll be immune until his next turn, it should instantly regen you and then make it so you're able to be knocked out. They really need to tweak that, because I hate how it works now. Usually I don't even notice it because of Despair, but if you don't have Despair on them, it's very annoying. Now as for Rocket, he's going to basically die to dots. And the enemy agent, well, I'd love for Morbius to finish him off. So on his turn we'll use Quick Reflexes. That gives us improved formula. And check out all those buffs now. That's just sick. That was pretty much the greatest group of buffs I've ever seen him get. And just for fun, we're going to go ahead and attack the agent even though we know he can't even be damaged right now. I know it says can't be damaged until next turn, but it's just over the top. Finally though, we can start putting debuffs on him and getting him ready to get knocked out, hopefully by Morbius. So let's start with the Gore Blade, and it misses. Okay, so on Kurth's turn, we're going to use Love Me. Once again, I don't know how long this is going to take, but we won't drag it out too much longer. We're basically going to go for it right here. And if we miss, then we'll take him down by other means. Well, the second hit lands, and at least the enemy agent's pretty close to death. So we'll use Improbability Field on our agent's turn. And then Kurth will take him down with her level 1. Hey, at least it has Exploits Delirium. So let's see what kind of damage we can get with our Stonebreaker. And it's nearly 50k. So a pretty epic finish after all. That's going to be it for a look at Morbius and his new ISO. I hope you enjoyed it, and I want to thank you all for watching. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and comment. Then until next time, good luck, and take care.